Short game. That Gordon was in the area, and again he has to be a fumble. That could be a backward pass. That could be a live football, and that's Devin Bush who's going to go into the end zone. Touchdown.
Oh no!
Oh, and that's perfect.
This game is over.
2nd and 10. Rivers deep downfield again, and that time it's going to be picked off. Cam Sutton. Oh, he's been something in the 4th quarter. And that will tie the ball up.
With your host, Charles Raj Ritchie, here on the Mass Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Roney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush,
And welcome back, everybody, to this edition of the Mass Steel Podcast here with me, Charles Perez Ritchie. As is Victory Monday right now is upon us. And yes, sir, the Steelers right now, they defeat the Chargers last night in Sunday Night Football. As a matter of fact, Mike Tomlin now improves to 4-2 lifetime against the Chargers, which includes 5-2 being in the playoffs. We'll get into that a little bit later on here, but right now we are getting ready to get into a lot of things right here. Getting ready to take your calls as we get ready to move this along here. Again, if you want to feel free to be part of the Mass Steel Podcast, the number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at Praj Ritchie. You can also check me out streaming live on my Instagram stream, Men of Steel Nation. Then, of course, you can also check me out on my YouTube channel, Men of Steel podcast as we get ready to get in here a lot right now. Like I said, it's definitely a much more satisfying Monday. Quite a few starters got banged up in that victory. Came with toll yesterday, as a matter of fact, as we look at it. But yeah, for right now, Steelers do find themselves victorious at that point in time. And also right now too, I mean the Steelers are now also 5-3 against Philip Rivers as a whole, even including the time since Bill Cowher last coached the team back in 2006. He lost that one on the road by Schottenheimer and his San Diego Chargers at the time. And you saw what happened right there as we took a look at that. But yeah, again, if you guys want, feel free to be part of the show. The number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me, like I said, on Twitter at Project Richie as we get ready to get going here right now, as a matter of fact. And like I said, I think there were definitely some key moments in this game when we really look at it and boil it down. I mentioned yesterday, as a matter of fact, keys to the game was going to be winning the turnover ratio. That they were 2-0 against Rivers whenever they won the games where they have plus in the turnover ratio, not breaking even. I'm just talking about when they won the turnover battle. Guess what? As a matter of fact, last night the Steelers did indeed just that, as they were able to be +2 in the turnover ratio, thanks to 3 turnovers by the Chargers, as a matter of fact. As remember, where the one ball was thrown, and it was a live ball, and it was a strip fumble recovery. It was a fumble recovery return for a touchdown by Devin Bush, and they were able to get in business right there earlier in the game. The Steelers were able to score and score mightily. Definitely a disaster start when you look at a guy like Philip Rivers in this game, in this contest, like what he had to overcome and what was happening here. But it was definitely a weird night. I mean, one, he definitely liked to forget, as a matter of fact, when you look at it. And yeah, I really feel like right now it's been a lot of stuff going on when we look at it. And I'm not sure what to say right now other than that. I mean, it was just definitely a huge victory. It was all-around satisfaction. I mean, you saw a team who almost blew a 24-point lead. And right now I got Stephanie Robertson joining in on the Men of Steel podcast. I want to say thank you very much, Stephanie, for joining in here, as a matter of fact. And again, I want to definitely hear your thoughts, your comments on this game as it went on last night, as a matter of fact. And yeah, I really feel like right now, I mean, the Steelers, good news for them for right now is that they find themselves 2 games out of the AFC North. I mean, if they would have lost that game last night, it would have been pretty much almost a done deal for like the division, if you ask me. And that's where I look at it right there, where I tend to think it would have been like a wrap if they would have lost that game. This is a win they needed to have. I know it's been an up and down season. It's been a nightmarish season, to say the least, at times, when you really look at things and you dissect things. But at the end of the day, too, I'm not sure like where you go with this at this point in time right now. I mean, you are going to be on your bye week right now, as a matter of fact. You had some injuries notable from this game, as a matter of fact, when we're looking at it. And one of the things, too, which was really bothersome, as far as like the injuries that Dale Lally, DK Pittsburgh Sports, was reporting yesterday. He can be followed on Twitter at @DLally_PGH. Steelers fear the worst was Stephon Tuitt. And right now, he's one of the guys throughout this season. He led the team with 3.5 sacks, and in the team sack total for this year and this team. When all their defense, I mean, they've been like number 1 in sacks for like almost the previous 2 weeks, if you ask me. And you look at where they're at right now. I mean, it's a team right now who, depending what happens tonight, they will probably move up a few spots as far as in total defense. They're 20th overall right now, but that could change. As a matter of fact, I probably look for them probably still jump up a few spots. They've surrendered 2,126 yards. But as far as the sacks for the season, they are third right now on the list with 20. Carolina Panthers lead with 27, followed by the Patriots at 25. And there you go right there. I mean, I just couldn't say anything more about this game than that it was a beating from top to bottom. I will say this. One thing I'm not sure about everybody that you guys noticed, but when watching this game was that how there was like a fair catch interference punt right there. I think like around the third quarter when you looked at it. And if you go back and look at the play-by-play, I mean, throughout this game, you see what we're getting ready to dive into in just a bit here. But, yeah, I thought that was a huge play of the game. I think it happened around, like, late third quarter right there. I mean, you had the Steelers who were up pretty much 24-0 at that point. You had the Chargers pinned back deep in their territory. I mean, when you looked at it. And eventually it led to the Chargers finally getting on the board with some points at this point in time. And, yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it was definitely right there where you look at it. I mean, when the Steelers punted, it was a fair catch by D. King at the Pittsburgh 46, I want to say. I want to say it was that play. But, yeah, it was definitely a huge call because I really feel like it kind of like changed momentum in the game right there as far as like how the Steelers were just dominating throughout. I mean, when you really think about it. I mean, this is a team right here, I mean, who looked at it and, I mean, you're dominating pretty much throughout this game as far as like on the takeaways. I mean, you go back and look at this Minkah Fitzpatrick deal right now, and you look at it, and you do feel like right now that what's happening here is that this is something that can be salvageable at this point in time. But, yeah, I really feel like right now we have to look at – I mean, now you got your bye going into this right now. You got to see what is next for this group here when you look at it. I think for right now, I mean, when you really think about things and you start to look at it, I mean, to Witt, man, he's going to be a big loss if he is out for any significant amount of time. You heard the reaction by Cam Hayward. I mean, that's pretty much like his partner in crime right there. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, when you think about it. And like I said, I really feel like right now what's happening here is that – because then you also got T.J. Watt, who is also on the injury list as well. And right there, I mean, I thought, I mean, that was like a little bit scary right there in of itself. I mean, who, by the way, I mean, when you look at it, right now, I mean, the other injuries that were listed on here, I mean, when you break down, look at it, and what happened, what's been followed. Yeah, like I said, Stephon Tuitt with the pectoral getting examined. Hopefully, it's not season-ending. He's definitely going to probably miss some significant time if it's torn. Yeah, left outside linebacker T.J. Watt will oblique injury. He was listed on there, along with left quarterback Joe Hayden, who had a groin injury that was suffered in this game, and running back James Conner, who had a thigh injury. But remember, Stephon Tuitt, he left pretty much like in the first quarter. And according to Hayward, he's saying, he was quoted as saying, "I hope it's not as bad as it looks," Hayward told me. He's a key part of our defense. I'll got to go to war with him every day. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping it's just a little time off, then he comes back to us. And that's what we look at right there. And when you really think about things and you start to look at and see how it gets there, I mean, to that point. So that's my thing right there. When I look at it, I'm looking at it from like a point of view right now. It's just the bye week couldn't come at a better time. Definitely to be probably without like a few guys. I mean, it looks like going down the stretch right here for some significant time. More in particular with Stephon Tuitt, who's been vastly huge on this defensive front. I mean, who's helped did a good job like making this defense respectable once again. I mean, when you look at it, this is a team right now who is going into this game leading the league with 12 takeaways, 10 in the last few weeks since acquiring Minkah Fitzpatrick. And you recall all the stuff right there, all the stuff that's been building here. And that's why I look at it here. I just tend to think right now what it is just that people are starting to get into rhythm right now. Last thing you want to have is anything disrupted at this point in time where it does, unfortunately, go down the pike a little bit. When you had a lot of criticism here from, like I said, Keith Butler, whose defense did not seem to be all that impressive starting off earlier in the season. Yeah, it's got some work to do. But let's also take a look at a guy like Devlin Hodges real quick here so far. Dare we say we got a quarterback controversy on our hands right now? I mean, this guy, I'm not sure if Mason Rudolph is a guy I want to see get back in here just yet. And I look at, I mean, from this point, for what I'm seeing, a guy like play with a lot of confidence, a lot of flexibility. And this is a guy right here who, in my opinion, at this point in time, he definitely seems to be in the driver's seat right now in cruise control at this point in time. I really feel like right now what is happening here is that you got a situation on your hand right now is are we going to see Mason Rudolph, if he's going to come back in there, are we going to see Wildcat all over again? Is he going to have a little bit more freedom with throwing the ball? I mean, he was doing pretty decent against the Ravens, but I just feel like ever since Hodges came in, you kind of felt like a little bit of an instant spark. And that was notably because they had to do something when they're going in there against the Ravens. And it is Duck Dynasty right now, I guess you could say. But, yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about right now. And what you see, I just want to welcome in James Pumpkin right now. Scott, who just joined. Thank you very much for joining here on the Men of Steel podcast. We're going live right now here. Again, if anyone else wants to get in on this conversation, number to be reached, again, is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at PrideRichie. Check me out on my Instagram stream, Men of Steel Nation, and of course, Men of Steel Podcast, which is my YouTube channel, by the way, at this point in time, when we get ready to look at things and break it down here for you. But yeah, I really, like I said, it's not too often they win West Coast games. I mean, I know it's always going to be a criticism right there of this team. But, I mean, you look at what they had to go out there, what they had to do. I mean, at this point in time, it's been pretty much impressive, I mean, so far. I mean, for right now, what you had to do and, like, what you look at it, and I'm very impressed. The only thing I'm just a little, like, a skeptic on is that they almost blew a 24-point lead at this point in time, and almost you just saw it kind of chipping away. And I really feel like I said, I can't emphasize enough how much that punter interference right there. I mean, right there, if you would like stopped them and got the ball back, you'll probably have momentum going right back in cruise control with that team. I don't know what anyone else thinks about that. I'd like to hear your comments right there. What do you feel like turned the game away little by little for the Chargers to get back into this contest? Because it was pretty much a runaway at that point in time. And that's how I feel like right now is where it needs to get up to at this point and see what happens down the road. Because right now you got a lot of stuff happening here, and you start to think right now, can this team make it out healthy? And speaking of which, I know Missy Matthews right now, she put a noticeable stat here that was tweeted out. Again, she can be followed at Missy_Matthews. She's a Steelers sideline reporter and, of course, host of Steelers Live. As she pointed out for Joe Haden at this point in time, he has 123 passes defended since 2010, which is the most of any NFL player since 2010. That ranks 6th overall among active NFL players. So congratulations, Joe Haden. I hope he's all right. I mean, he's one guy who's still hustling. I feel like for right now, I was looking at it, and I was kind of expecting a little bit more out of him, a little bit more interceptions. I mean, he is older, like I said. He's in his 30s. And definitely some question marks right there. I mean, if he's going to be able to play up to that level, and he says he wants to play into his mid-late 30s when you look at everything. I mean, that's the bottom line right now, according to Haden. But, I mean, what's more realistic is he can be ending up like a Darrelle Revis right here, where his career does get shortened when he hits his early 30s. Remember, he did go over to the Patriots, still had like a decent time right there, and then was able to return to the Jets. And like I said, ever since then, I mean, he had a decent return in his first year, but then little by little started going downhill. And I think his last season, if I'm not mistaken, was in the 2016 season. But like I said, let's just continue to look back on this victory right here. Much needed for the time moment. And like I said, one of the craziest things that was pointed out, too, and you know how Steeler Nation travels around games, where it's at home or away games, they make their presence felt. And the thing was, too, when we looked at it, was Renegade was being played in the StubHub Center, the Chargers' home stadium right there. And that definitely ticked off quite a few players, including running back Melvin Gordon, who was just scratching his head. It's like, why the heck in the world would that be playing? I got to be honest with you. I mean, I'd be a little ticked off, too, myself, if that were happening right there. I mean, you look at this point in time, like, what's been happening here, and the Chargers, for them to even be booed mercilessly like that in their own stadium, I mean, wow, it just really said a lot here as we look at it. Deborah Banks Walker was saying that they got tired. Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. I was definitely sensing the same thing. My thoughts exactly throughout watching that game, that contest. I was seeing a defense that was getting gashed, but mainly because you were seeing some injuries get hit little by little. When you lost some of your big stars little by little throughout that game, who were getting banged up bad, like we mentioned, Stephon Tuitt with the pectoral injury. Hopefully it's not season ending. It's going to probably be some significant time. It's still possible to be very well season ending. And of course, TJ Watt, the oblique. And then you had, like I said, right here too, James Conner with the thigh, and then Joel Haden with the groin. So, I mean, but those three on the defense are major, including James Conner right now, who's really starting to get into a rhythm now. I mean, he hasn't rushed for 100 yards yet this season, but I mean, he's doing real good as far as like on his scrimmage yards when you look at it, I mean, at this point in time. And James Conner, who, by the way, let's pull up some of his numbers here as we're talking here on the Mass Steel podcast. And I'm going to get into this here just a bit. But by the way, I mean, for right now, let's take a look at his numbers for this year. His overall scrimmage yards right now. Because remember, last year he had 1,470 yards. Right now he's got 466 yards pretty much. And with 100 touches, 4.7 yards per touch. That's the second most highest average in his career. I mean, he has career high last year with over like almost 5.5 yards per touch when you looked at it. So, and then not only that too. I mean, when you looked at it, I mean, this guy right now, because remember, he had 12 touchdowns last year on the ground, with coupled in with one receiving touchdown. This year, he's got 3, and he's got one more touchdown receiving wise that he did last year. So that's going to bring me to my next point real quick here as we get ready to get into this. As we looked at, and good job, decent wise, I want to say, by Tyson Alelulu and Daniel McCullers, who filled in during Stephon Tuitt's absence when you looked at this game. And when you looked at it, because in my opinion, I think Alelulu did decent, who was actually able to get a tackle for loss, 3 total tackles in the game. And of course, I remember McCullers, he got hit with a penalty earlier in the game, or like later in the game, I should say. But yeah, decent job. Let's go some game balls real quick here. First, let's start with the offense. James Conner, he's going to get the game ball. I know they gave for Devlin Hodges with his first start, deservedly so by the coaching staff. But in my eyes, I see James Conner, who led both teams with 23 touches for 129 total scrimmage yards last night, 5.6 yards per average on those touches, with 2 touchdowns totals, which includes 16 carries for 41 yards, 4.4 yards rushing with a touchdown, and 7 receptions for 78 yards, 11.1 yards per reception, and the receiving touchdown, which accumulates for his 2 total touchdowns overall, both running and receiving right there. So I feel like that was pretty darn impressive right there. I mean, when you looked at it, I thought like those were some interesting keys in that right there. Just want to say, Otis McCray, thank you very much for liking my Steel podcast. Thank you very much, brother. Glad to always have you on here, bud. Hope everyone's enjoying this Monday right now. I know it's a happy Columbus Day, so I want to just pay a little respect to that. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot more, I think, a little bit of a sigh of relief. You saw a little bit more of a better, intense look on this team. They were definitely pissed off, I mean, throughout the week when we looked at it, as noted. But they definitely came here to do their business and do it well, I mean, when you think about it. So, like I said, let's find out how this continues to work itself out, I mean, at this point in time. But like I said, I'm very proud of like what this team was able to pull out, and you see it right here, I mean, at this point in time. So I really start to think right now, when you look at it, it's they're right now they're 2-4. Still got a shot for the division. Go a time and get some rest. And then as far as like the defense side of the ball, for who gets the other game ball, that'd be Devin Bush. I mean, who pretty much started off with the fumble recovery for a touchdown, fumble return recovery for a touchdown. And then he also had pick in the game. So he had 2 takeaways on defense. Plus, he led the team once again in tackles with 7 total tackles right there. This guy's got potential to be rookie of the year the way he's playing right now. I mean, when you consider him leading all rookies as far as like in tackling going into this game, what can you say about the job he's been doing, and then how much like the mentorship he's been getting from a guy like Ryan Shazier? I mean, I really think that's about a lot of stuff right there when you looked at it. I look at all those things like being accounted for and accumulated with. But yeah, I mean, this is what they do, and obviously when the Steeler player puts on that uniform, obviously they are going to be right now at this point in time put on with a lot of pride. And we got an update here, by the way, from the Steeler Wire by Kurt Popejoy, who'll be followed on Twitter at Kurt Popejoy SW. This is capital C, capital P, SW. And some devastating news, unfortunately, some sad news, and it had to be next man up. Stephon Tuitt did tear his pec. He is out for the year for the rest of the season, as Chris Mortensen, who made the official report. Kurt Popejoy was writing it, and he can be followed on Twitter at Mort Report. The Steelers' outstanding defensive line, Stephon Tuitt, did tear his pectoral, will need surgery, out for a year per sources. No longer a fear, but reality. Another huge setback for him. And yeah, so he'll need surgery to repair it, and out for the year. In terms of roster, Tyson Alelu will slide into the starting spot along with Cam Hayward and Javon Hargrave, forcing Daniel McCullers and Isaiah Buggs to provide the only depth at defensive line unless the Steelers look to free agency. So there you have it right there. He is done. His season's over with. Sad to hear, fortunately, right there. So that's definitely some breaking news right there. It's definitely a big gut wrencher, but you know what? I've seen a lot from this team throughout the years where they play with lesser people here. I mean, at the same time, I mean, this is a team who always find a way to fight for each other and try to win for one another under a guy like Mike Tomlin. And for all the heat that he gets, like I said, he finds a way to maximize potential. It may not always be championship potential, but like I said, we'll find out how it goes real soon. All right, now let's get to some fair or foul right here. Steelers will pull win a game and a half out of the AFC North, with the Seahawks losing to the Ravens. I have to say fair on that one. Like the way Russell Wilson's been playing this year. This guy's been playing lights out since signing his new quarterback contract extension deal this past offseason. This guy's falling on cloud 9 right now. 14 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 1,704 yards passing through the air. I mean, at this point, this guy's really, literally killing it at this point in time. And when you look at it, but like I said, too, and then also at this point in time, he's still got 151 yards rushing. I mean, he's still limited in that, but still, I mean, this guy is a dynamic threat. The thing is about that 12th man, especially in Seattle, you see how a lot of people in that stadium right there, how stuff just starts to hit the fan right there, and you see how like a lot of people here look at it, and you realize, I mean, what this guy is capable of doing here. I mean, at this point, I just feel like right now, when you look at it, it's just one of those things right here. It's interesting, at to say the least. But yeah, I'm just really curious right now what we look at here. So yeah, there you have it. But last topic I have with fair or foul. That's about it. So that was the only topic I had, was just one was Stephon Tuitt. Got my answer realized, just like a lot of people were waiting. So I want to say thank you again for those of you tuning in. Pleasure having you on here. Again, if you guys want, feel free to be part of the show next time. Right here. Just again, the number if you want to reach in next time is 312-209-2232. Again, that number is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at Pride Richie. You can check out my Instagram stream, Man of Steel Nation, and my YouTube channel, Man of Steel Podcast. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.